Hey guys, Alfie here. What's it all about? Well, what would you do if you found yourself acquiring a really cool property with some old buildings on it, and you want to just kind of brainstorm with a buddy of yours that knows a little bit about business building and creating businesses and likes to restore things and likes to just create? We're going to find out more today because, like I say, when the curtain has fallen, adventure starts calling, and Alfie Offstage starts now. So a buddy of mine who I've actually was also a business acquaintance of, I leased a property from him and did a lot of improvements on this property for one of my personal businesses several years ago. A great guy, and so fortunate he trusts my aesthetics and my design and my input. And so one of the things I do is I do a lot of business building, and I do consulting. I do brainstorming sessions. I help people, cultivate ideas when they have something like this, and also help them improve and move forward with businesses. I've done it several times for myself, obviously opening different businesses through the years, but also done quite a bit of consulting. So I'm always excited to do this. I'm also really happy to be able to do it for a dude that's open to ideas, and I always like business people who are not too proud to take other people's ideas and to either mesh them with their own or brainstorm and make things happen. So I'm excited to do this. So we're going to go take a look at his property and see what I think, give him some ideas, hear what he's going to do about it after I tour it. Him and I will probably get together or talk on the phone, and he's going to tell me a little bit of the things that he wants to do with it. But for right now, it's just going to be you and me. We're going to take a look at this property here. And also, this property could be available. So if you know somebody who has a business or has an idea of something they would do with this business, go ahead and drop a comment down there or reach out to me, and we can try to make this happen. Maybe you can lease this property and make it your own. But let's go take a look at it. We are not in the panel truck today, as you can tell, because I have some other business I need to take care of that does not allow me to drive the panel truck today, because I need to be able to have the room and space and security of the truck. But also, I have not been to this property before, and I don't know what the driveway looks like. I know it's an older property, and I don't want to drive. I want to at least have four-wheel drive should I need it, and not get stuck in the panel truck. Although I trust the panel truck pretty much everywhere. I love business, performing is a business, and I think people often forget, and I tell people all the time, show business is really two words, show and the business. You ain't got no show without a business. And but the other aspect of business I like is that startup. I love when people are in that process of cultivating new ideas. I mean, having a business is really like raising a baby and having a baby. And, you birth it, you anticipate it coming, to be, and then you birth it. And then, let's see if all your preparation that you did when it's born, if you did all the right preparation, and then, you nurture it and you nurse it to get older, and then it starts crawling, and then you start walking, and then you get to the running stage, and all of the little things you do and you bring to the table. And I love that. I love to see people's ideas and where they go with things. But one of the things in business that I've always mentored people, and why I had been successful in my businesses that I built, was I didn't put anything, the way I designed my business, the way they looked, the way I approached them, was me. If you went into Alfie's barbershop, it was a 1920s aesthetic. I love antiques, obviously. I loved gentleman barbering. I love I just love that that whole vibe. So, you know, it was very true to who I was. You know, my dad and I had designed all of the woodwork in there to be very New England-esque, where I grew up. So it had this really great feel, but it was very much who I was. And it's the same thing, you know, with my music. The music I do and the performing I do is stuff I like. I don't sing stuff I don't like. It's hard to be passionate about something that you don't really know anything about, and, you know, you end up being phony. And it ends up, it's hard when things are tough in the business process to stand by it through the difficult times when you are doing something that you don't like. Well, he was right. The grounds are absolutely beautiful. Look at these mature oak trees. Look at the size of this oak tree. I mean, this is incredible. I have a lot of mature oaks on my property, but this is humongous. I don't know if this is gonna do it any justice. I mean, I'm a pretty wide guy. This thing is humongous. I mean, you can't get the real scope. It's a big ass tree. Gosh, I love that. There's a lot of potential for something right here. Holy mackerel. I haven't even gone in the property, in the building itself yet, but just the outside property. Look at this. This is just phenomenal. I love this. And I'm not even showing you like I said, I'm not even showing you the buildings yet. I'm just showing you how gorgeous this property is. I'm sure a lot of the underbrush, as you go towards the road, he'll take care of. Obviously, you can see there was a really cute old little Florida house right here, tin roof. Love that. Yeah, very cool. You know, I like palm trees. I'm not necessarily a fan of this type of palm that you see all over Florida. I guess that's just the palmetto. I'm not I don't know if that's the saw palmettos, I think, are the low ones to the ground. These are, I don't know what type of palm trees these are. I'm not a tree expert. I know what I like and what I don't like, but I've never been a real fan of these. They look nice when the boots are off and cleaned up, but God, they're a mess. I'm not a fan of those ever, but I do love oak trees. Boy, when my parents found the property down in Grant, that was the thing, is that the property we have is full of beautiful mature oak trees. So that's not part of the property over there, but this is, I don't know where the property line goes to, but this is all part of this property. Look at this. These pine trees, just glorious. Cut out some of the underbrush, some of the small little stragglers, so you can expose this from US 1. That is US 1 down there, Highway US 1, for those of you watching from different places. Yeah, check these buildings out. Let's go inside. All right, let's take a look inside. Wow, very cool. Wow, they did do a lot of work in here. All right, let's check this out in here. Holy mackerel, look at that old potbelly stove. I think that's still what that's called at that design, that style. I think that's still a potbelly stove. You know, I'll tell you what I'd be doing. I'd have my old enamelware coffee pot on here, my cowboy coffee pot. I'd be making cowboy coffee in here. Got AC in all the rooms. Very cool. Wow. Let's turn the lights on in here. Got the ACs going, so that's good. I think I just said that, but I'm over on old floor. Nice amount of light in here, really good. Let's check out this other room. Yes. A light switch in here? Yes. Look at that. Floor is creaking in here, which I love the old floors when they creak. I like these windows they put in. These are nice, much better, efficient windows. Wow. This is reminding me of when I had my salon downtown Melbourne when I first opened, Dead Sexy Hair, where I had a little different thing in each room. The ideas are flowing. I'll tell you right now. I will tell you right now. I love this. Look at this. Another little room. Yeah, this reminds me of my second salon I did because I had windows like this from a porch in here. I had like shampoo bowls and I had the color bar in the other room. Little half bath in here. Obviously not residential anymore. There's no shower, but great little bathroom. Walk through into this front room. Super cool. Of course, great. Kept the old doors. Plenty of lighting in here. They did this right. Making sure it's nice and bright. And back to the little kitchen area. Look at that. Kind of a shiplap look going on. Yeah, very, very cool. Very cool. Let's turn the light on in here. We didn't turn the light on in here. Yeah. Look at that. Cowboy coffee cooking. The only thing I would do is I would change this tile. If I kept the tile here, I would change it to a different color, or I'd paint it because I'm old-fashioned like that. Maybe brick. Maybe get the brick. If you're going to keep using that, I would do the brick thing in there. Maybe an older brick look, depending on what you're going to do to design. I mean, they kind of, you know, white box this a little bit. All this little pale blue color, I think, in most of these rooms, except for the front rooms with the original flooring. But yeah, very cool. Sky's the limit in here. Sky's the limit. I like this a lot. I do. Yeah, I like that. Man, I gotta walk through one more time, just check stuff out. Yeah, my buddy and I, we love each other's ideas, and we amp each other up, I think, on ideas. I think we bounce off each other. Like I said, I rented a property from him before, improving that property was so exciting. And that's the thing I love about business is cultivating those new ideas and seeing it come to life. It's as exciting to me as when I do shows. I have this balance, right, between being on stage and then the other part of me wants to do business and create and design something cool. And one of the things that I like to do is I like to literally take a chair, I'll sit it in the middle of a room, whether if it's a big open space or not, or sit it in each room, I'll sit it down and I will sit there and AC came off. Thank you. I can hear better. What I like to do is I just sit in the room and exist in the room, and the ideas start to come. And then I wake up in the middle of the night with more ideas. So that's. But this is one of these rare times in Florida, in our area anyway, that I get really excited because I love these old homes so much. You're gonna hear me say that a lot. I love these old homes. Oak trees, big oak, mature oak trees, and old homes, old architecture. I love it. Okay, so I see it's the unit we were in over there. So it's got this nice garage unit. So I understand where they're going for maybe construction. You'd have the ability to, park your vehicles and stuff in here, as well as throughout this grounds. But gosh, what a waste for just construction vehicles, if you ask me, to be parked out here. But you got to lease it to who's going to rent it, right? I just can't get over that big oak tree over there. All right, so nice space in here. And this garage space, very cool. So yeah, boy, the ideas going through my brain right now. It's unreal. What I found out is that this house was built in 1939. That was actually before US 1 was here. So this right here would have actually gone right down to the river. You would have been able to walk out the side of this house off this street and go right down to the river, because that would have been before US 1. Old Dixie Highway would have been west of where this house is, not the new US 1 Dixie Highway. But wow. This other property over here, they're still renovating that. We're not going to go in that one. Still renovating that. So that's also available as well as part of this property. So what I'm standing at now is I'm looking down the west entrance to the property. So you can kind of get a scope of this property. And I know that they have been marketing this to, contractors or construction companies. to be able to come here and park their trucks and stuff like that. But I see so much more potential for this property, and I have a lot of ideas. I cannot wait to talk to my buddy and discuss what I think this would be cool as. Oh my gosh, I'm envisioning so much right now. I gotta tell you what, I think I want the little house we were in and the garage. And then him hold the other one and not rent it out, and then let me make some more money, and then let me do something else cool with this one. It is amazing. Look at that one. So if you got granddaddy over here, you got grandma right there. Unbelievable, unbelievable. I just realized this goes back further. I'm gonna watch out. I don't like walking in unknown territory. I don't think there's any snakes, but you never know. And I hate snakes. I'm like Indiana Jones. Why did it have to be snakes? But yeah, take a look at that. Plenty of property. And you know, this dude is such a good guy. I know he will make improvements. I'm sure they'll be fixing this fence back here. You know, he's been gutting this other house right here to make it, you know, ready to go for whoever wants to occupy the space. But phenomenal. I would have like a little gentleman's compound out here. I'm not going to tell you exactly what I would do because I'm not giving away these ideas for free, but I definitely tell you, if you were interested in this property and need somebody to point you in the right direction, I'm your guy. I have a lot of ideas, you know, and really my reason for being out here today was to see if I felt the same excitement that he did, and if I saw the potential that he saw in the property. Oh yeah, again, I would have bought this had I had the opportunity. Absolutely. Yeah, I love this stuff. My dad's actually a contractor, and I worked for my dad for a while in the construction industry. I get my strong skills in woodworking, never as good as him, from my dad. My design elements as far as interior design and stuff I get from my mom, who's always been really amazing at that stuff. So I love looking at this stuff, and I see it from both sides, not only in the eye of a contractor, actually more than both sides, the eyes of a business owner and an entrepreneur, but also as a designer and the potential that's there. So I love this. You know, I'm actually going to save you a little time. Here is the information right here. If you are interested in this property for rent, but see what they said, contractor or storage yard is what they were thinking. But if you look at this right now, the office, 321-242-2882. This is JM Real Estate. Got a little QR code right there for you. I am putting my life on the line so you can see this actually from the corner. If you take a look at that right there, this is the corner right there. So you get that underlying brush, like I was saying, out of the way, and you're going to be able to see that beautiful little cottage right there, part of the property on the corner of Allen Hill Avenue and Highway US 1. And if you look down in that direction, right down there, is the Pineda Causeway exit off of US 1. That's Pineda right there. But yeah, you can't beat this type of exposure. I mean, you can look up the traffic charts to see how many vehicles pass this place a day, and that right there is worth its weight in gold when it comes to having a business. I will tell you, other than it being just such a cool property and a cool location, is that location. The fact that you can get to it from US 1 South, US 1 North, you can get it from the beaches, right over the Pineda Causeway, you can get on Pineda Boulevard from 95, from Wickham Road. It's a great location. Man, I'm thinking. So this building was the original Eau Gallie High School. It was built in 1923. It actually closed its doors in 1948. And they were moved to Melbourne High School. The Melbourne High School original location is downtown Melbourne and New Haven. That was built in 1919. That is where the Henniger Center is. Unfortunately, the main academic part of that high school was demolished years ago. But this one here is still here, and I don't know what they're doing with it. So if anybody knows, drop a comment in the bottom and let me know if they're actually using this building for anything anymore. Yeah, incidentally, when I owned my barbershop downtown Melbourne, and they were destroying, or in the process of wanting to destroy the old Melbourne High School building, I was so against it. I just wished at the time that the developer would have used it in the facade of their project for the High Line, I think is what it's called down there now. I wish they would have used the facade or done something to incorporate that as part of the history of Melbourne instead of destroying it. I hate when old buildings are destroyed. I don't know what the fate of this building will be. I know that it's not on the market, and I know that, like I said, I believe it's still owned by Brevard County. But yeah, there it is right there. I remember doing a cool photo shoot out here with a buddy of mine's motorcycle that he built in a model years ago when I used to do photography for a magazine. But it's definitely a neat old building. I wonder if they renovated the inside at all. I mean, closed in 1948, it had to have been used for something. I mean, boarded up as per usual to keep people out, but I gotta see if I can get in here one day. I'd love to explore the inside of this building. I did explore the inside of the old Melbourne High School building. I was in there a lot of times, actually. A gentleman by the name of Peter Feller, who was a technical designer and producer on Broadway back in the day, him and his wife donated, found an old penny, donated a bunch of Broadway sets and stuff. Actually, at the time, the Henniger Center next door was using the original act curtain, the red velvet curtain from The King and I on Broadway with Yul Brynner, the original curtain. There was so much history stored in that other building that was just left to go to rot and ruin. It's a sore subject for me. And now the inside of the Henniger Center has been converted into a black box. Their historic theater no longer looks the way it did. It definitely does not have the King Center or the King and I act curtain anymore. Another sore subject. I hate destroying history. I think we need to be hipstoric. We need to have progress moving forward, but we also have to preserve the history just a little better, especially in some of these cool old buildings. The building was built to last. That's why it's still here. We can do better, Brevard. We got to do something with this. It's like that house we just looked at. Thank you for restoring that house and going to use it for something else. But we got to do better with buildings like this, especially our government buildings here in Brevard. Let's get on it, Brevard. What can we do? As we turn this corner coming into downtown Melbourne, this building coming up here on the right is the old ice plant. Actually, same builder, same designer as the one in St. Augustine, but not nearly the same great ideas to repurpose and not nearly restored as cool or preserved as well, in my opinion. The one, if you've been to it, the brewery, or rather distillery and restaurant in St. Augustine has a really cool aesthetic, was repurposed really well. The ice is so cool and different that they do stuff with there, and I think they did a good job with that. So behind me is Crane Creek. Now, the interesting thing about this is this goes out to the Indian River Lagoon, and as legend would have it, when the rum runners would come up the coast, either from Cuba or whatnot, they would be bringing their alcohol, mostly their rum, onto these vessels and going to Melbourne Beach. They would then take that, roll the barrels up Melbourne Beach, and then load them onto a truck. It would then make its way by either boat across, or they would try to smuggle it in one of the small rail cars that would come across. Now, once they came by boat, they would come in here. Now, what you're looking at beyond the bridge at US 1, beyond that bridge, you will see the Melbourne Yacht Club Basin. Now, that goes out and around the corner and then enters into the Indian River Lagoon. They would then come in the Indian River Lagoon into Crane Creek here and make their way up the creek. And they would make their way just past this train trestle. So what would happen is they made their way up Crane Creek, as I was saying, is they would take these barrels, and there was actually a tunnel up here past the train trestle. And once those barrels got to the tunnel, they rolled those barrels up the street and into a building, which I'll show you shortly. So that's the direction we came from down there. As you can see, there's an elevation difference down here in the bank. Now, it is said that these tunnels are still somewhere under this ground. I'm not exactly sure where, but my guess is it would cross Melbourne Avenue here, through this park. Now this is the higher part coming up. This is the highest part right through this park right here. And the tunnel was said to have gone in this direction up to Melbourne Court. So looking back down the road, purportedly it was run up into the tunnels by these buildings. There's the old arcade building, and into these alleys where Al Capone's guys would put it on trucks and take it to Chicago. I'm standing outside now of Iron Oak Post, which actually used to be the post office in the 1940s during World War II. Hence the new name now, Iron Oak Post. So, you guys can do your own research if you want, but I've been told that by a lot of people, city historians, and I find it fascinating that there's that kind of history as far as rum running here in Melbourne. But, you know, like LeVar Burton used to have to say on Reading Rainbow when I was a kid, you don't have to take my word for it. We're catching a freight train as it goes by. But that's the way my uncle used to do it in Rhode Island. He was a fisherman, and he would take his sloop or his fishing boat out, and he actually built himself a submarine that he would haul behind his fishing vessel, and he would move it out into the ocean, and he would fill it full of the rum off the other ships, and he would sink it, and then he would tow it sunk behind his fishing boat, and he would get to shore, fill the bladders back up with air, be able to take the rum barrels and rum bottles out. They would load them onto trucks. A lot of times the milkman, because the milkman was on the take. There's a whole nother story in that and how they got caught because of the milkman. But I'll go up to Tiverton, Rhode Island, where I'm from, and I'll tell you that story very soon. It's a fascinating story. I come from a long line of rum runners and moonshiners, and I can't wait to tell you that story. But I just thought that's some neat history here in downtown Melbourne. A lot of people don't know. And again, is it true? Is it not? It doesn't really matter. It's a fantastic story. I can definitely see it happening. And yeah, who knows? Well, I think that's going to do it for me today. This was an unexpected adventure. I did not plan to do this today, but I'm glad you all came along. Thank you for subscribing and telling your friends about it. Thank you for liking the content. Make sure you comment. Let me know some things you might want to see. Maybe we'll spend some more time in downtown Melbourne going over some of the local history. maybe even some of my history with owning a business down there, working in a business right out of high school down there and performing down there, you know, just whatever, going to some of my favorite places, meeting and talking to some of my favorite people. I'm glad and grateful you all came along today with me. It was a good time. It was a good day. We saw some cool stuff, talked about history, talked about preserving history. That means a lot to me. And it means a lot to me even more that you guys are still with me. So thank you so much. Have a good night. Have a good day. Have a good morning. Whatever time you're watching this. I appreciate you. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. So I'm walking around this property here. Just walked into a spider web. That was fun. Caught that on camera.